What's going on, everyone? It's Sean with the Social Media Pros. If you don't know who I am, my name is Sean and I run the Social Media Pros, which is a full-service pressure washing marketing agency. Today, I wanted to create a video for you guys on some tangible things that you can start doing to increase your rank inside of the map pack, kind of talk about the map pack, what it entails, how to grow your ranking, and all that good stuff. Now, if you're not already aware of what the map pack is in the Google Business Profile, we'll briefly touch on that, but I'm going to assume that most of you guys watching this video already have a Google Business Profile and you already know what the map pack is. So we're going to basically go on that assumption that you know what all of that stuff is. Now, before we dive into all of the tips and things that you can do to kind of give yourself an edge, what I will say is, spoiler alert, the number one thing that matters, and Google has never announced this publicly as far as what percentage that your rank, what percentage of this factor your rank plays. I don't know if I'm explaining that right. Basically, what I'm getting at is the most important thing you can focus on is the amount of reviews and the quality of those reviews. That matters above all else. You can do a lot of these other things that we're going to talk about in this video, but really at the end of the day, if you just focus on that number one thing, you're going to grow inside the map pack and increase your ranking. Now, when we talk about your Google business ranking, I hear some people say, oh, I'm ranked third in my map pack. I'm ranked first in my map pack. Something you have to understand is when people say that, you're only talking about a specific search. So what I mean by that is you could type in pressure washing near me and you could show up number 2, and then you could type in power washing near me and show up number 10, right? And so and obviously where you're executing that search from matters. So we'll kind of get into it. I'm going to break it down a little bit, but I kind of wanted to give you guys a little bit of preface, right? So right here, I've got a Google search pulled up. As you guys can see, I'm in Springfield, Ohio, and I've typed pressure washing near me. Now, obviously, the first couple of results that you're going to see are going to be Google ads, right? So what we're talking about, and for the purpose of this video, is going to be inside of the map pack here, right? This is your map pack. Now, I'm going to hit more businesses. I'm going to expand this a little bit, and we're going to kind of break this down just a little bit, right? So just to give you an idea, so if you can see my mouse cursor, which you should be able to, I'm executing this search somewhere in this area right here, which is very important, right? Because at the end of the day, if I were to execute this search maybe 15 miles away, the results inside of the map pack are going to be different. And that's important to note because obviously a lot of you guys want to be ranking in the more affluent areas where you've got the 3, 4, 5,000 square foot homes, right? So if your business address or where you're making the search from is very far away from those areas, you're going to have a harder time ranking in those areas. Now, there's obviously strategies to get into those areas by doing things like PO boxes and virtual offices and things like that, which I won't get into in this video, but it was important to note that just because you're ranked number 1 in pressure washing near me when you make that search, if you go 10 miles away and make that search, you're probably going to get a different result. But so I've made this search right here somewhere in this area, and I kind of wanted to cross-reference it and kind of explain what's happening inside the map pack. So by making that search, the company that showed up number 1 was this Premier Pressure Washing and Property Maintenance. Now, they have 65 Google reviews, and they're roughly 2 or 3 miles away from me. The second company that shows up, they only have 13 reviews, but the reason that they're showing up number 2 is because they're not even probably maybe a quarter mile away from me, right? So with that being said, with them only being a quarter mile away, it's not going to take them many reviews to show up number 1 in my area. Then we go to the third result, right? Now this result's probably 15 miles away, maybe 10 to 15 miles away, and they're showing up number 3. Now, as you can see, there are a lot of pressure washing companies between where I'm making the search and the company that's ranking number 3, that's all the way down here. But the reason that they're showing up number 3 is because they have 59 5-star reviews, right? So you can make the argument if we're looking at these two companies here, the company that's showing up number 1 and the company that's showing up number 3, if this company here that's probably 10 miles away, if they were to get, let's say, 80 or 85 reviews, they can maybe overtake this company that's showing up number 1, even though this company is much closer to where my search is being made. So as you can see, just having a lot of reviews is going to really impact that where you show up in the map pack, right? And obviously we could go through the numbers here, and as you can see, like there's some companies here, like this company here is about the same distance away. This Dixon's Mobile Power Washing, they're the same distance away as Aquaforce, but because they only have 50 reviews and this company has 59, they're going to show up higher, right? And so again, the premise of me breaking this down really, because this is the most important part, guys, just if you're really trying to rank up in your map pack, just focus on getting reviews by any means. Now, if I were starting a pressure washing business and I didn't have a marketing background and I really wanted to grow my business organically and not spend a ton of money in paid advertising, the number one thing that I would do is I would focus on this alone. And I would get these reviews by any means. So, here's why, right? So if a homeowner goes to Google and they type in pressure washing near me, right? Obviously they have a handful of Google ads. A good part of people do not interact with these Google ads unless they're very enticing. Most people are going to jump to two places. They're going to jump to this map pack here, or they're going to jump down here to the search engine results, because most people know these are ads, so they're generally going to kind of skip them. Now, Google ads do work, but that's a conversation for another day. So with that being said, if I'm a new pressure washing business and I can show up number one here, you're going to get a ton of phone calls and a ton of website traffic just by showing up number one here, thus perpetuating that, right? And so I get a lot of people, or a lot of, pressure washing guys who will call me and they'll say, Sean, what do I have to do to get more reviews? I've been in business 2 years. I only have 10 reviews. And we're going to kind of get into some of the strategies you can do to start getting more Google reviews. But honestly, guys, I would do whatever it takes. Like if I'm a new business, I'm going to go door to door in my neighborhood and tell people, hey, let me surface clean your sidewalk, all for free in exchange for a Google review. And if you spent maybe 5 hours doing that, you could probably knock out 7 or 8 sidewalk cleanings. And next thing you know, you have 7 or 8 5-star Google reviews. You do that over the course of 2 months. Next thing you know, you've got 80, 90 reviews, right? And so the other strategy that I see a lot of people implement is they'll give discounts in exchange for a 5-star Google review. So let's say you go out to do a house wash. The house wash is $400, and you tell them, "Hey, after we send you this invoice for $400, we're going to send you a link to leave us a Google 5-star Google review. And if you leave that 5-star Google review, we will refund you $50." Right? And I only say do it like that. Don't just go ahead and preemptively add that discount to the invoice, because then people are still going to forget, and then they get the $50 off. So that's just been my 2 cents on it. And so if you start implementing some of those stuff, you're going to get a lot of Google reviews, thus ranking up in the map pack, thus getting more calls, more leads, and more business. So it's a really key thing to start doing. So one of the things I want to talk about in lieu of struggling to get your getting more Google business reviews, because I hear a lot of people say that customers are not leaving them. This is why having a CRM that automates this process is so important. So right now I've pulled up House Call Pro. The 2 CRMs that I'm aware of that have this feature, that have a lot of the good features that pressure washing companies are looking for, are House Call Pro and Mark8. I'm not going to talk a lot about this particular CRM, although I may make a video on it if people want me to dive into it, because I only want to talk about one feature. And the one feature inside of the CRM for House Call Pro, and if you guys want, I'll leave a link to House Call Pro. If you guys don't have a CRM, I highly suggest at any stage of your business you should have a CRM, but I'll put a link to this CRM down in the description. So if you're in House Call Pro, and again, guys, a lot of CRMs have this feature, so don't get hung up on the fact that this is House Call Pro and not Mark8, because the feature I'm talking about is reviews, right? So if you have House Call Pro, be sure that you're setting this up. If you have Mark8, do the same thing. Check your CRM, see if they have this feature. But basically what this feature is doing is, if I were to set this up, so I have an agency account with House Call Pro, so I don't use it, so it's not all set up. But basically, if you had House Call Pro or Mark8 or one of those CRMs, you could link this to your Google business profile as well as your Facebook business page, and it will automate the Google review process. So if you have House Call Pro, if you go out and you do a job and you send the invoice to the homeowner via SMS or email, once they pay that invoice and it's paid in full, they will automatically start getting text message alerts from House Call Pro or Mark8, reminding them to leave a 5-star review. And they're going to continue to get this until they leave that 5-star Google review. And this is super key for a couple of reasons. One, it allows for you to not have to worry about at the end of the day or once a week you go, oh my God, I need to send all that Google review link out to all of my homeowner customers from the week, and you don't forget that. Because here's the other thing, guys, that a lot of people don't understand, because I get a lot of messages about this. You cannot send your Google review link out to a bunch of people at once, because if they start leaving a bunch of reviews, only a handful of them will actually show up on your Google business profile. And so that's really important to note, because you might go out and do 10 jobs, and then, on a Friday evening, just send out that link to 10 of those homeowners. Let's say 8 of them do it. Maybe only 2 or 3 of those reviews are going to show up, because Google sees this as like a spam prevention to make sure that all of the reviews you're getting are organic, because they see that you don't get a lot of reviews in a short span of time. So if you send that link out, they're going to flag a lot of those reviews. So by setting this up inside your CRM, you're making sure that it stays consistent with the amount of reviews that you're getting, and so Google isn't going to flag those reviews. So that's definitely a huge tip that I have. If you don't have a CRM that has this, switch to one that does. It's very important in my opinion, especially in pressure washing, you obviously have to start using it. So those are a couple ways you can start getting more reviews, is doing services for free in exchange, offering a discount, and then making sure your CRM is set up to automate that process for you. Now, there are a couple of things that you can do kind of on the back end with Google Business that will help your Google Business map pack ranking. I don't know the impact that these have. We only do these things because we've been told by Google that it does help. But really, all the stuff we've talked about so far in this video, those are really the most important things. So if you did nothing else and you just did this, you're going to be just fine. But I wanted to break down some more granular things that you can start doing. Now, outside of focusing on getting more reviews, getting higher quality reviews, there are a couple of things that you can do to optimize your Google Business profile that will also add an extra edge that I want to get into right now. So if we just navigate over to your Google Business profile, this is one of our clients. I just pulled them up because it's a good example, because it's pressure washing. One of the first things that you want to make sure that you've done correctly is, once you're logged in, if you go over to the info on the left-hand side, you want to make sure that your service areas are set up properly. And the reason that you want to make sure that your service areas are set up properly is because if somebody executes a search in those areas, you're probably not going to show up unless you have those service areas set properly. And so, even if, here's what I would say, especially for those of you that kind of live in near a bigger city, just putting the bigger city isn't enough. I would highly suggest adding a lot of the suburbs and things like that in there, because it's going to help you show up in those searches. Now, I want to put a disclaimer in all of this, saying that if you make a lot of changes too quickly to your Google Business profile, they could suspend you. As you guys are probably aware, Google suspends profiles just because they feel like it sometimes. So you have to be careful when you're making a lot of changes to your Google Business profile, because you don't want to get suspended. But the other tip that I do have is make sure that you have all of the service areas that you could possibly think of that you actually service listed under inside your profile. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about, and kind of talks back on the first point, is about your reviews. It's very, very important that you are responding to all of your reviews, and you want to do it relatively quickly. And you also want to try and leverage in some of those keywords. So, for example, if somebody says, "Thanks so much, the service was great," then you might reply and say something like, "Thanks, Miss Jones. Doing your house wash was an absolute pleasure." So just adding in those little keywords can absolutely help. When you respond to your Google reviews in a timely manner, that really helps inside the Google algorithm, because it shows that you're interacting with their customers as well in a timely manner. So they really do kind of reward you for that. And then one of the last things that I wanted to talk to you guys about was in regards to your services, right? So just listing your services. If you guys aren't aware, services, the services, if you ever go to this page and they show up as orange, the reason they show up as orange generally is if a customer suggests it, or Google thinks that these are services that you should be offering. But basically, anything that shows up in black is something that you've inputted. Something that's orange is more of a suggestion or a change. But what's really important here is that, so if I'm going to go ahead and accept all these changes, right? So Google was basically, this particular company did not set up all of their services probably properly. And so Google was basically making a suggestion like, "Hey, we think that this is some of the stuff that you do." So once you add in all of your services, and like I said, add in as many services that make sense as possible, the important part about this is you want to make sure that you are using the 300 character service description to its maximum potential, right? So and what I mean by this, so for example, for this graffiti removal service, if I were going to write a service description, I want to use up all 300 available characters, and I want to put graffiti removal as many times in there that sounds natural as possible. That's another big thing that can help you rank up for specific keywords and things like that. And I'm trying to make this video a little short. I know we kind of drug it in the beginning because honestly, guys, the primary focus should really be the amount and the quality of the reviews. Now, if you've ever heard of geotagging, then you probably already know what this is, but I briefly wanted to talk about it. I won't go super deep into it. Obviously, you guys can see here the link to the website that I typically use when I'm doing any kind of geotagging. I'll also put it in the description of this video. Basically, what geotagging is, for those of you that are posting photos and updates to your Google Business Profile, which you should be doing pretty regularly, if you geotag the photo before you add it to Google Business, it also helps Google understand where your business is located. And so basically what geotagging is, inside of a photo, there's a bunch of metadata. And one of the pieces of information is where the photo was taken. So if you take your iPhone or whatever kind of phone you have and you take a picture and you put it online somewhere, the code can be read as to where that picture was taken, no matter where it's taken. And so geotagging allows for you to basically tell the photo where it should have been taken, right? So if I took a picture here in Springfield, Ohio, but I'm trying to rank for a business in Birmingham, Alabama, I could geotag all of my photos. So basically this program here is you upload your photos, you tell the software where you want the photo to look like it was taken, and then you export it and re-add it back into the Google Business Profile, right? So then all of a sudden you have a bunch of photos that are in the areas that you really want to rank in. If you guys have any specific questions about that, drop a comment and I will 100% respond to all of the comments. But I kind of wanted to briefly touch on that because I know some of you may know about it, maybe you've heard about it, so I just wanted to kind of elaborate it on a little bit. Again, this is just one of those small things that added up cumulatively can really help your ranking. The last thing I want to talk to you guys about that we do when we build our clients' websites is we like to add we like to link the Google Business Profile reviews directly to the website itself. So this is something that we've been doing that's really not only helped our website's SEO, but it also helps the map pack rankings because it's also telling Google like, hey, this website also belongs to these Google reviews, and it helps tie everything together. And so if you have a company that's already developed your website and you don't have this feature, I would highly suggest reaching out to them and saying, hey, can you add this? Can you link my Google Business Profile reviews to my website? Because that can also really have a good impact on your overall SEO. But guys, that's pretty much it. That's all I have. Like I said, the primary focus of this video was really around just getting more higher quality reviews and automating that process with some CRM, whether it's House Call Pro or Markgate. Like I said, I'll drop a link to House Call Pro because it's my preferred one down in the description. If you guys have any comments about map pack, ranking, any of the stuff that I've talked about, like I said, feel free to drop a comment and I will respond to every single comment that is under this video. Other than that, guys, I'm going to put out probably another couple videos on this topic, diving deeper into it in the upcoming week, and I hope to talk to you guys soon. Have a great day.